Hello, women of the Channel Leadership Network. I'm Jacquie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another Woman of the Week. This week, I am very, very excited to introduce you to Jennifer Keatinge, Senior Partner Development Manager with Juniper Networks, and also one of our advisory board members. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing?
I'm good, Jacquie. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I'm really excited to get to know you better, but also for the community to get to know you. So let's start off with the icebreaker questions. Where do you live and where did you grow up, if that's different?
So I actually live in Singapore, and it is very different from where I grew up. And actually, that's a little bit of a loaded question of where did you grow up? So I wouldn't really say that I have a hometown. We like to kind of joke that I'm a citizen of the world. I was born in California, lived in Ohio, lived in Germany, back to Ohio, down to Sydney, over to Florida, and now to Singapore. So this is actually my fourth continent that I have lived in, but I claim Florida as home now because it was the longest continuous place I've ever lived.
I love that you've lived on so many different continents. So, secrets revealed. Jen is in Singapore, which Women of the Channel is coming back. So, she's one of our advisory board members for that event. So, I'm really excited for people to get to know you. The other thing I wanted to say is, Jen, you're first. I've never done a Woman of the Week after hours past my bedtime. It's about 10 o'clock at night on Thursday and Friday morning for you. So I'm really excited that we get to do this together.
Absolutely, and really, it's kind of a future thing, right? You're in Thursday, I'm in Friday, so we're coming
Yeah.
at you from different days of the week as well.
Yeah. Who knows what we're going to say? All right. I love it. What is a little known fact about you?
I think a little known fact about me is, what we were talking about before is I've lived all over the world. I've had so many very cool experiences. So what's kind of cool is that I have friends in all the different area codes and, all the different countries. So I always have somewhere, someone to go visit and someone to go see. And the way that I tend to make friends all over the world is I'm very, very into fitness and working out. So I find the nearest gym and those become kind of my best friends. And, we really make sure that we go out and relieve some stress and go have a good time at the gym. So that's kind of how I make my friends in the different places that I'm in.
See, and that's how you and I connected right off the bat when our first meeting. And I was like, okay, well, if you go to the gym, you'll understand why I get on this call and I'm not going to have any makeup because I'm going to work out afterward.
Exactly.
So I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's pivot from here and talk about something that perhaps you learned that you wish you knew early in your.
I think that especially in the tech industry, the women are definitely the minority. Most of the time you're kind of sitting around a boardroom with a bunch of men and you're the only one at the table. And this has been like this since the very beginning of my career when I was 21 years old and starting in this industry. So I think I'd look back at my, past self and say, you have just as loud of a voice as everyone else, at this table. So make sure you come with your ideas, and it really shouldn't be women versus men. It's just a bunch of people at the table. And so really, really remember that. And your ideas are just as important as everyone else's ideas. And, make sure you stand up, shout them from the rooftop, and kind of close that gap where it's not men versus women. It's just whoever has the best idea at the time, really go out there and go get it.
That's great advice. Great advice. What are some perhaps experiences or transformational moments that you've had in your life?
So as I mentioned again, and I think this has kind of really shaped who I am, is I have lived all over the world. Over here in Singapore, people can tell I'm American, but I think I have kind of a little bit of a messed up accent. No one really knows where I'm from. So it's kind of like a mixed bag. So I think a really big experience for me and been transformational is working in the US and learning all about business in the US and then coming over to APAC and being able to take the experiences that I've learned in the US how business works over there. Because, a lot of the large companies and the large end users that we work with are American firms. And being able to bring that knowledge over to APAC and, having that kind of cross theater knowledge is extremely helpful
Mhm.
within business. So I think that that's something that has really, shaped my career. APAC is a little bit of a smaller theater than the US. And so it's given me a lot of opportunities to kind of branch out and, do things like this and being able to kind of raise my hand to get on different leadership roles. And, it's a little bit of an easier opportunity because there's not as many of us over here whereas in the US, you have thousands of, sales reps and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's been really amazing for me in my career to have this opportunity. It's also given me an opportunity to let the US know, maybe a 5 a.m. start isn't really great for APAC. Maybe we could push that back a couple hours so that, you guys could push it back too. So, educating the other side of the world as well. Guys, it's not just about America. There's a whole other universe, crossing that back.
Actually, you did that for me just in our first conversation. Like, you were just ready to give me so much information about, like, knowing the Women of the Channel events and what that could look like there and how it could be tweaked a little bit different to serve that market. So I subscribe to what you're saying because you've already done it with me, which is fantastic. I love when people who are more than willing and happy to share knowledge, and you are one of those people.
Well, and in the US as well, you just have, kind of the one country or a couple countries over there that you're working
Yeah.
with. Whereas Singapore is a 20 by 22-mile island. It's very, very tiny, right? And we work with so many different countries over here, these tiny countries, these big countries. Every single country has a different culture, a different way of doing things. So you need to know how to work with Japan versus how to work with Australia versus how to work with Indonesia. And it's a really, really, really amazing opportunity to learn about all these different cultures within business. And, I'm learning still every single day, when you work with China, that's so different than, working in Singapore. So it's such an amazing eye opener of all the like beautiful cultures and, way of doing businesses over here. Whereas in the US, it's kind of a one size fits all approach to business. Whereas here it's the shoe does not fit every foot over here. So you really have to learn how to do that.
Yeah, but still, like, just what you were saying, it just sounds like so many amazing experiences and um I think you said beautiful cultures that you're getting to learn from and learn about, which is so cool. I love that. All right, we have a smidge of time left, so I'm going to grab one more question, and that is, who are some individuals that inspired you in your journey?
So I have this for kind of two different groups. So my first one is my parents. So both of my mom and my dad were both executives at Procter and Gamble, which started my youth expat life. So, we moved all around the world, and it was either for my mom's job or my dad's job. So we kind of switched locations to, who had the job in which country. So to be able to see, back in the 80s and 90s, where dual income families were not necessarily the norm, and to have these two executives as parents move us all around the world and follow their dreams and see all these different cultures was such a amazing example for me to see what my mom accomplished as a woman leader, over when it wasn't not necessarily the norm then. And, my dad as well, they were just so inspiring, which, they don't want to admit it, but listen, I'm on the other side of the world now because I got pretty good examples of it, right? And then my other
Yeah.
group, I've been extremely fortunate. At the very beginning of my career, I worked in distribution, and I met this amazing group of women who I did all force to go to the gym with me at work. So again, that's how we all became friends. But I met this amazing group of women at work that we are still, to this day, 15 plus years later, complete and utter best friends. We meet all over the world, and they are now all high powered leaders all across the tech industry. And we all lean heavily on each other when it comes to how to get promotions. We go back and forth with, If we have a speaking event, we get advice from each other, we lean on each other, and it's really such a beautiful women supporting women network that we have. And I feel extremely fortunate for living literally on the other side of the planet and still having this group of women who I'm so proud of every single day across the industry, that I'm very, very fortunate of having met them and just look up to them every day.
Oh, I love that. Jen, I could talk to you forever. However, I am going to have to go to bed. But thank you so much for accepting the invitation, allowing us to get to know you better and celebrate you as our Woman of the Week.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good night's sleep.
I hope you have a fantastic weekend because it is Friday for you. So.
Yes.
All right, community members, please give high fives, comment, share your insights with Jen. I'm sure that she would love that. And until next time, have an amazing week.
Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate it.